Hey guys, Alberto is here. We'll take questions for him.
Alberto, I guess, we'll just go ahead and just the home run, I guess, just kind of what did you see on that pitch and just kind of just take us through that in bat.
Well, he started me off early with the slider, so I kept that in the back of my head. And luckily I just saw it spin up and knew it was a good pitch to hit and just swung and made good contact.
Alberto, what was different about today's game than maybe the opening series last weekend? What stood out as far as maybe either competition, atmosphere, or anything like that?
For sure. I mean, there was a lot more fans here. Today, the Tar Heel Nation was awesome today, and we kind of knew that that it would be a good competition. So we showed up ready to play and did what we do best.
Scott Forbes has talked a lot about the importance of getting out early. Was that talked about at all leading into today's game?
I mean, I think that's our goal every time. What he told us before is just go out there, have fun, play the game that we know how to play, and we did that. We just having fun and competing.
Alberto, obviously, since you got here in the fall, I guess what have been kind of the biggest adjustment points that you've kind of had to make, as you're kind of facing, a different level of pitching a little bit?
I'd say the biggest thing is having a little bit more of an approach. I feel like in junior college, you can kind of get away. You can swing at a little bit more balls because they make a few more mistakes. But I mean, there's higher velocity, less mistakes. So it's really like zoning in on what pitch you want to hit and taking advantage of it. Which I think that's probably the biggest learning curve since.
Was there a point, maybe this fall, where you kind of like, early on, maybe the first scrimmage or so, where you're like, okay, like I do have to really kind of refine this a little bit. Like there is a step up here.
I mean, yes, sir. I mean, all of our pitchers are good. So I think P was the first one that told me that I'm gonna have to have an approach. I mean, I've always been a free swinger. And then Coach Weirs is like, he's helped me out with that. We've worked on it, and I feel like it just keeps on getting better and better. It's still not where it's supposed to be, but it's getting there.
Anything else for Alberto?
Going into the series in the game tomorrow and on Sunday, what are you thinking to improve? What are you guys looking to do better?
I'd say we just have to show up and play our game. Just have fun out there, like I said before, and just compete. I feel like we're good enough to where we can take another game from them, but we just gotta show up and have fun and play loose.
Alberto, what's the biggest difference between playing a game like tonight and playing a game at Walter State?
Well, I mean, blaring differences. I mean, the stadium, all the fans. I'd say that's probably the biggest difference. Being able to see pitchers, I think that helps out a lot. Because in junior college, you really can't see like what a pitcher is going to do and stuff because there's not really that much video. But here, it's that a little bit more preparation. But besides that, I mean, once you step between lines, you just got to play the same game that you've played since you were little.
What's the biggest crowd you ever played in front of at Walter State?
I'd say it probably in Grand Junction. I think it was 10 to 12,000.
Huh, okay. It's impressive.
Alberto, Coach Forbes has talked a little bit how he senses a thing with this team where, coming off last year, there is kind of a chip on the shoulder of everybody. And kind of being a newcomer with this group, is that something you really kind of noticed quite early on? And just, how kind of present is that? Something you've kind of really adopted as well?
Oh, for sure. It honestly kind of has like a junior college vibe. Like in junior college, we all have to have chips on our shoulder because no one thinks we're good. That's why we're in junior college. And when I got here, I mean, first day, like we're working as hard as we can. And that was probably the biggest thing that I've noticed, that everyone works hard, everyone wants to get better. And a big thing is that even like the bench guys, like they're always ready. Like they would play anywhere else, but but they love it here. We're just a great team together. I think all that hard work brings us together, and that's why we're able to have the success that we want.
Thanks, Alberto. Yep, you're good.
Thanks, Alberto.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys.
Hey, Brandon, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. You obviously, coming off that start last weekend, you talked about how, especially early on, experiencing a little bit of nerves. I mean, having that start under your belt, I mean, how much did that kind of help you as you're kind of prepping throughout the week and once you got out there today?
Yeah, looking back on last week's start, that first inning was a little shaky. Had the nerves like you talked about. Kind of just, when I was on my bullpen this week, we talked about, just let your stuff play in the zone and just try to live in the zone a little bit more than I did. And I was able to get ahead of a lot more guys, I feel, this week. And then kind of having them on their toes and, in my counts. And I think that was a big part of it today.
Take anything specific from last week's start that you wanted to look at and tweak for today, like either based on watching film of ECU hitters and things like that?
Well, they're a really solid team from top to bottom. We know they can swing it. The big thing for me was eliminating those free passes, as I think I had two walks and 2 hit by pitches last start. I think I had a walk tonight, but it was basically, I know these guys are good. I want to challenge them and, let my defense work behind me. They're great behind me in the field. So, get the ball in their glove and let them do the work and kind of let these guys get themselves out, which is kind of what happened.
Brandon, you might have heard me kind of ask a similar question about Alberto, but kind of, Coach Forbes has talked about how, he's really sensed a chip on the shoulder of this team, really throughout the offseason and everything. And once you arrived here in the fall, I mean, how much of that was something you kind of picked up on as well?
It's night and day different from what I'm used to. Not that we don't have a chip on our shoulder at JUCO, but, everybody here is so hungry to win. And the one thing I really noticed here is that, everybody picks each other up. Like there's not one guy that's not a good team player on this team. And, everybody is pulling for each other all the time, whether it's a bullpen guy or a starter or a bench guy. It really doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's pulling for each other. Everybody's got that chip on their shoulder. And everybody's just hungry to win. And I love it. Everybody comes to practice every single day. It doesn't matter if it's Tuesday and it's 35 degrees or Friday night or whatever. Like the energy's the same. And I love it. And I think everybody feeds off it. And it's a really good atmosphere we have here.
What's your role in the dugout once you come off? Obviously, you leave with 0 runs, and then Gage gives up that 2-run bomb first pitch right afterwards. But just what do you do in the dugout? What's your kind of take on your role once you leave the mound?
I mean, once I leave the mound, the ball, it's in the guy's hands who comes in. So my job then, is just being there for them, being there for my teammates, and just being a good team player, and just being the best teammate I can be. Because once the ball's out of my hands, that's it. And then, it's my job to just pick everybody up and, provide some of that energy in the dugout that I experience when I'm on the mound. So I just love being able to give that energy back to my teammates and, help them get the job done when they're out there too.
You talked about, kind of scouting ECU just on video and stuff. I mean, in terms of those resources, I mean, how much is that something you really kind of had to learn how to use here for these first 2 starts? Maybe not, maybe not spending too much time looking into that and kind of things like that. How do you balance that?
It's definitely a balancing act. I mean, being able to go and see film definitely helps, but I think to a certain extent, like it can overcomplicate things a little bit. And Coach Gaines and Coach Forbes, they really call it a great game, and they have they have they spend a lot of time researching that stuff. So I trust them. A lot of my time spent looking at myself out there from the previous outing and seeing little things, and then I work on that in my bullpen midweek. But like I said, a lot of it comes down to the coaches. I trust them. They really call a good game, and they know what they're doing. So they take a lot of the stress off of me, which is nice.
So speaking to the coach's preparation with, pitch sequence and really knowing the opponent and everything, what was the, pitch sequence like coming into today after watching Bryant kind of effectively shut down ECU last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, as pitch sequence, it varies based on who's at the plate. Obviously, you got matchups and what's working for me that day, what they're not seeing well that day, what they are seeing well. A lot of the game plan was honestly for me just staying in the zone. Like I said, letting my stuff be in the zone and not trying to be too fine with anything. And kind of just, like I said, trusting my stuff, one, and then trusting my fielders, number two. You know, the combination of those two things coming together, the guys got it done behind me, and stuff played pretty well today in the zone, I thought. So, you know, that was kind of what we thought going into it.
Hang on, got some.
Okay, so as you were pitching in the first 5 innings, your team was able to build up a 5-0 lead. How did having that offense behind you relieve any pressure from pitching, or can you kind of speak to how having the offense firing on all cylinders affected your mindset and confidence as you were pitching?
Absolutely. You know, you always want to go out there first inning, put up a 0, get your team back in the dugout quick so they can hit. And, you know, Vance coming out like that right out of the gate, home run. I mean, that picks everybody up. That gets everybody going. I mean, there's nothing better than that, right? And then like being able to add on every single inning, like you look at the scoreboard, it's 1 in the first, 1 in the second, and I think it was 3 in the third or the fourth. Like, you know, that just having that lead really, really makes things a lot less stressful out there as a defense, as a pitcher. And, you know, I know that, you know, 1 through 9, those guys can get the job done, and they do, and they have been getting it done. And knowing you have an offense like that, and just, it goes back to that team atmosphere. Like everybody's going to pick each other up no matter what. It really, you know, you trust them, and it makes your job a lot easier. You know, you just go out there and do your thing, and, you know, those guys are going to get it done. But definitely having a, you know, 5-run lead after a couple innings feels pretty good.
Brandon, you mentioned the power there, 1 through 9. Is that something that you saw from this lineup in the fall? Like, were they hitting home runs off of you and the pitching staff, or not as much?
Yeah, Dan hit a long one off me in the preseason. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's obvious power, right? Like everybody in the lineup can take you deep at any time. And, you know, as an opposing pitcher, I mean, that's gotta be tough. And not only do they have that power, but they have a good approach up there. I mean, there's literally no holes in the lineup, and that goes to our secondaries too. Like those guys coming in off the bench, they're just as good. It's exciting. It's fun to watch because, you know, there's a chance for every single guy at any given point to do some serious damage at the plate, and that's just exciting. It's good feeling as a pitching staff knowing you have that, you know, playing with you. And I'm just glad we're all in the same uniform.
Would you indulge us and just tell us a little bit about the story of you getting recruited by UNC? Take us back to 2019 when I guess you had a start scouted by UNC back at WVU Potomac, and just kind of take us through from that until why you ended up ultimately coming to UNC.
Yeah, back in 2019, I had actually sent Coach Forbes an email, just sending him some of my stats and not really thinking anything was going to happen from it. And he ended up responding, called, and then came down for a visit, and that was that. And then Coach Woodard was the coach at the time, came out to see me throw down at Myrtle Beach, and I didn't have my best stuff that day. Didn't really have a great day, honestly, at all. And that was pretty much the end of our dialogue then. And then flash forward back, the COVID hits, so then everything kind of got put on pause. And then last year, you know, came out throwing well to begin the season. And my assistant coach at the time, who's now an assistant down at Liberty, asked me if I would have any interest in, you know, talking to UNC again. I said, well, heck yeah. And kind of started talking from there and continued to throw well. And, you know, the rest is history. Before I know it, I'm wearing a Tar Heel uniform. It's awesome.
Anything else for Brandon?
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a
Thanks,
good one.
Brandon.
Yep. I'll see you.
Thanks, Pete. Coach will be here momentarily.
How we doing? Everybody good? Y'all got me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Never seen a bad win. Obviously, I would like it a little bit cleaner there in the ninth, but you know, I tell our guys all the time, that's what makes baseball such a great game, is you have to get 27 outs. And it's hard to do. So we need to clean that up a little bit defensively. But I thought the story for us was how we threw the ball, 3 walks. 14, is that right? 14 strikeouts, I believe. I'm doing my math right. I think that's correct. 3 big swings of the bat. You know, an exciting day and night for fans, for the state of North Carolina after going through COVID. You know, I thought it was just an awesome day for our guys and for East Carolina to be able to play in front of people. And, you know, they have a great program. You know, they're not going to quit, so you have to finish the game. But I thought Brandon got us started off on the right foot, and I was hoping leading off Vance was the right call. And thankfully, he made us all look good as a staff. So it's hard to get that first one against a good team, and we're glad to get it.
Coach, I guess just kind of going off your first point a little bit. I mean, you guys get up 5-0 quick, but you know, they did kind of fight back. It's kind of a little bit different game than you guys have faced so far through these first 4. I guess just kind of how important was it kind of see that sort of, you know, be able to stay them away, I guess, a little bit, kind of stymie the rally a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. You know, early in the season too, you know that even if you have a starter that's dominating, you know, this time of year, you're not going to let them throw 120 pitches. You know, you still got to kind of ease these guys into it. You hope to. And you just, you know, that's how good teams are. I tell our guys all the time, you know, we can come back from any deficit. You know, we have power throughout the order. You just have to keep playing. But at the end of the day, if you give other teams, good teams, extra outs, you know, they're going to make you pay for it. And I thought, you know, who was it? Worrell hit the 2-run jack. No big deal. You know, he just jumped Gage, and typical Gage came back and got us right back in the dugout. I thought that was very important. But, you know, you can't give teams that are good in situational hitting and small ball either extra out. So, you know, we need to clean that up. We have to play better defense. But I'm glad we're talking about it after a win.
Scott, obviously, I'm just curious the decision to go with Caden there after Rapp to close it out.
Yeah, you know, we feel like going into the season, it's like a 3 or 4 man race to figure out exactly who is that closer, like the last 3 outs. And Caden's been in that mix. If you look at Caden's career, he's a hard guy to square up. Usually if he gets in trouble, it's a walk here or there. He's very deceptive, and he's got good stuff. He's got a swing and miss pitch. Really has 2 with his fastball and his changeup. And then with Mott and Davis, you know, developing the way they have, they've been in the mix, and obviously Gage can do it because he's done it. I just felt like, you know, that's the time run came to the plate, and it is hard. It's hard to square up Caden O'Brien. And nothing against Rapp. Rapp's really good. But when Caden's in those situations, like in the ACC tournament last year, I think it was Johnny Butler when he came in with the bases loaded, just something about him I feel good about. And in a perfect world, you know, that can be something that he can do where he comes in, hey, there you go. You got 3 outs, maybe 4, occasionally 6, but he's pretty tough, you know, to come in and get those 3 outs, and he'll have to get us 1. So I felt great about the matchup.
So you kind of spoke to Gage's resilience, you know, giving up the 2-run homer and then ending 3 of his 4 outs ended up being strikeouts. So, you know, what does a guy like that coming in, giving up a huge hit, not hanging his head, just absolutely shoves it down ECU's throat? You know, what does that do for the team when a guy?
I like the way you phrase that. You know, that's what makes Gage, you know, this is a kid that came to North Carolina just for a locker, and basically having to make the team. And he's just tough. You know, he had a minor hip injury. He didn't pitch a ton in the preseason, so he's a little behind velocity-wise. So he doesn't have that 88, 90 yet. But you know what you're going to get with Gage from the standpoint is he's going to leave it all out there. He's never going to be scared. He can throw 3 pitches. And we tell our guys all the time, I tell them the story about Andrew Kerrigan in Alabama. You know, he gave up the big home run to Avila. in game 2, and then he got us back in the dugout. If he doesn't get us back in the dugout, Flack doesn't hit that walk-off, if you give up 2 or 3 more runs. So we work hard on that. And, if something happens like that, you got to move on. And Gage is, you don't see that happen too often with Gage. Somebody come in first pitch and hit him that hard. He's hard, just like Cade. He's hard to square up. But that's Gage, man. He's a worker. He's a leader, and we're lucky to have him.
Scott, what did you take away from last week's series and then talk with your guys to prepare for this weekend?
Yeah, really, I could sense it today. They were extremely excited, extremely amped up, which is a good thing, but we're not playing football. And, I just remind the guys, this is a long game. It's normal to be excited. It's normal, I told them stories about, I remember my first year back here as a pitching coach, waking up and we're in game 3 of a national championship and I couldn't even eat. But you learn okay, once the game starts, all that's going to get better. But they were, they've been excited about this series, I think, from when the season started. So I've just tried to keep them focused on every day and trying to get a little bit better. But I sensed it pretty good in pregame. And I just told them, guys, you got to stay with your rhythm. You got to stay with your routine. You have to breathe in between pitches. So I thought they did a pretty good job of that.
Coach, you've talked a lot this offseason about Kyle Mott's just kind of emergence, after kind of a struggle last year. Obviously, and he had a lot of success there 2 years ago, but what is it specifically that he's kind of refined over the course of this offseason that's kind of allowed him to get back to that form?
Yeah, I think number one, he figured out, okay, if I'm going to get back to where I was, I'm going to have to really work. It's not just going to happen because I'm God gifted with a good arm and a good breaking ball. So he spent a lot of time, especially over Christmas break, working, just getting stronger. So that was number one. And then him and Coach Gaines really worked on his arm slot, getting it right back to he's a real athletic kid, played some shortstop when he was younger. Literally just feeling that when you're taking a ground ball at shortstop. And all of a sudden we saw his velocity come right back and he's starting to get his confidence back. He pitched for Fuquay, led them to a state championship. So, he's got some big game in him. He just never could get that confidence last year. And that's what's great about college baseball. You need guys like that. I can go back every year that we've been good and there's somebody that, Rob Wooten doesn't pitch at all. And all of a sudden he has a ton of appearances. So, and he recovers really well. He threw 41 pitches today, but he'll feel like he threw 21. But the fastball, the velocity increased, back. I don't know how hard he was throwing because our daggum board. I don't know why that thing isn't working. It's going to make my head explode. But I'll check, when I get the TrackMan data. But it was coming out, and I thought he was outstanding.
So, ECU obviously really, really good ball team, and you guys have them this weekend. Then you play Coastal. So, how to play in these tough non-con opponents really help prepare you guys for a really kind of brutal ACC this year.
Yeah, your hope is that whoever we play, we've seen it. You want to be able to say, okay, we've seen it all. From the offensive teams that may play small ball, teams that have more power, teams that have more speed, teams that have right-handers that are high, low, left-handers high, low. When you put together a schedule, it can be a little bit risky. It's just kind of my personality. I know there's a fine line and you need to have confidence, and winning helps confidence, but I think you can have a little bit of false confidence sometimes. And all of a sudden get in the ACC and realize whoa, okay, we really haven't seen anything like this. So when you play teams like we're playing, you hope that prepares us for ACC play, because it's a gauntlet once you get going in it. Everybody's good.
Scott, 7 different starters with a home run through 5 games. Is it just raw power, or is it the approach that they're taking? What are you seeing there?
Again, I think it's 2 things. Well, 3 things. You got guys that are older, that played and went through a full season. It's number one. So they're more experienced. I think Coach Wiersbicki does a great job with our hitters. Understanding we want to try to drive the ball. We want to be really good with 2 strikes, but nobody in the lineup, we're not trying to walk necessarily. We're not trying to hit singles. We're trying to drive the baseball. So he spends a lot of time on our approach, but our guys get stronger. You look at North Carolina, ever since we've been here, Greg Gass has been our strength coach. And, I think he's one of the most overlooked guys on our campus. He's in charge of all of our Olympic sports. But he's always been with us, and our guys, scouts tell me every year, wow, like your guys have gotten more physical, they've gotten stronger. And that helps with bat speed, and that helps, being able to drive the baseball. And you guys have heard me say, I do feel like we can put 9 guys in there, even if Alvarez is in there, even if Wilkerson's in there, like they can hit the ball out of the yard. And that's exciting.
If you wouldn't mind, just take us back to 2019. We were just talking to Brandon about he had one bad start when you all went down to see him, and he sort of fell off the recruiting radar, and then you sort of rediscovered him, I hear, just kind of out of sort of a strange bit of happenstance. Can you tell us the story?
Yeah, Coach Woodard was our pitching coach here, and a buddy of mine called me about Brandon, and I sent Woody to go see him, and he was just not good. Woody came back, was like, he wasn't good today. And, so we didn't offer him, and he didn't get offers from anybody else. He went back to Potomac State, and Coach Gaines, I'm really big on walks to strikeouts, especially when we're looking at a junior college kid like a Brandon Schaeffer or Cooper Criswell. It's great to get a power arm here and there, but they don't do any good if they don't throw strikes. When you're looking for a potential starter, you got to say, okay, this guy can pitch. And Coach Gaines was going through the stats and saw it and started a relationship with Brandon, not even knowing that we had been recruiting Brandon. He came to my office and said, hey, this kid, Brandon Schaeffer. And it took me like, he might even left. And I was like, wait a second, I know that kid. I know that name. And I went through my folders, and he had taken an official visit here. So we pulled the trigger on him pretty quick during the season last year, because we felt like, okay, this kid has a chance to be a starter. And we didn't go back and see him, which can be risky. But I did have some contacts in the scouting world that felt like he had taken a jump and that he could pitch for. So he's a phenomenal kid, and he really works. So I think he's only going to get better. And honestly, I thought for him, his stuff was okay tonight. I didn't think his off speed was where it should be. He was still able to get us, back into that 6th inning.
Could you imagine he was going to be your Friday starter when all that was going on?
No, nope. I didn't imagine Cooper Criswell either. I thought, okay, this kid's tall, lanky, those strikes. And without Cooper Criswell, we don't go to Omaha in 2018. We had injuries, and he ended up pitching for us on Friday. And I'll be daggum, I look up, and he's making his major league debut last year for the Angels. So you just really never know. Coaching is amazing. The older I get, I just appreciate stories like that, because they're really cool.
Thank you. One more.
Yeah, to follow up on that, you said you're still looking for more out of Schaefer. He was extremely efficient tonight, averaging about 16 pitches per inning. What are you looking to improve on in his pitching game moving forward?
I just want his off speed to be better, from the standpoint is I know how good it is, and I know how good it can be. And I think if his off speed's a little bit better, he's putting away hitters quicker. Instead of 5 strikeouts, he probably has 10, because he's setting them up with his fastball, and he's probably pitching into the 7th inning. And I really felt like his off speed today was average across the board. And I think he'd tell you the same thing, but his command is above average with his heater. So he's always got a shot.
Coach, Alberto over the first 4 games didn't necessarily struggle, but it looked like he was kind of feeling his way out a little bit. I guess just kind of, he obviously gets the home run, sacrifice fly tonight. I guess kind of what's been kind of the biggest acclamation point you've seen from him, especially over this first week or so?
Yeah, he's kind of fisted some big base hits for us. We've been giving him a hard time that he hadn't hit a home run, because he hit all those home runs. And his junior college coach told me to give him a message yesterday that he didn't realize that he was a singles hitter. But he is a matter of time. He's hit some balls that have been on the barrel that, again, I think he's kind of like Brandon from the hitting standpoint. I think he's seeing the ball well, but you're not seeing the kid that you might end up seeing. He missed some other balls. I thought he missed 2 other ones that were really close. And when he hits the barrel and the ball's hit, when a line drive in the air, it's going to go out. And his base hits, look at his singles. They're by the infielders in a blink. So he's got that same power that Sabato has. And same thing, he lives in the cages. He works, phenomenal teammate. Stole him out of the state of South Carolina, and we're happy to have him. We had three kids out of the state of South Carolina. They're really good players for us, and Frick, Osuna, and Holbrook. So it's pretty cool. Guys, good?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks,
All right.
coach.
Hey, don't be wearing that yellow hoodie now.
I know. I threw it on and I didn't even think about it.
Did you throw it on after we had won? Or during
Uh,
the game?
It got cold, Scott. I
come
don't know.
on, man.
I mean,
Hey,
I
I'll
didn't
hook you,
think- I
I'll
didn't
hook
think
you up with a
ahead.
nice hoodie that says Carolina baseball on it.
there you go. Yeah.
There you go. All right, y'all have a great night.
Thanks, guys.